Brock Purdy. Oh, what do you know? It's validation day for Brock Purdy. Why? I'll tell you why in just a moment. This is Sports Guy talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about Brock Purdy orchestrating a 17-point comeback in the NFC Championship game. The 49ers were down 24-7 at halftime, and Brock Purdy executed the largest comeback ever in NFC Championship history as the legend of Brock Purdy just keeps on growing. In fact, the 49ers are now advancing to Super Bowl 58 as they are set to play against the Chiefs in a rematch from Super Bowl 54. Before I say anything else though, I want to present you guys with a topic question. So here it is. Did Brock Purdy do enough to shut up his haters? Well, it should be enough to shut up his haters. Now, whether or not it will shut up his haters, I highly doubt it. I think that a lot of people are still going to doubt Brock Purdy as far as whether or not he is a legitimate starting quarterback in the National Football League. Well, I am very impressed with what Brock Purdy has been able to do for the 49ers. I know some people are going to go ahead and tell me, oh, but Jimmy Garoppolo played just as good as Brock Purdy did when Jimmy Garoppolo started out his career for the San Francisco 49ers. And that might be true in the win-loss column, but if you actually watch the games, if you actually watch the tape, it is clear that Brock Purdy is night and day better than Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, am I saying that Brock Purdy is an elite quarterback in the National Football League? Absolutely not. But what I am saying about Brock Purdy is that he is a top 10 quarterback in the National Football League, which is something that Jimmy Garoppolo never did when he was on the San Francisco 49ers. Brock Purdy played a fantastic second half for the San Francisco 49ers. Sure, was he the main reason why the 49ers were down 24-7 in the first half? Perhaps. He did throw a bad-looking interception in the second quarter that led to a touchdown for the Detroit Lions, but the main reason why the 49ers were down 24-7 was because the Lions rush offense was doing an excellent job getting yards on the ground, and that the 49ers defense had trouble stopping the run. But you know what changed in the second half? The fact that the 49ers were able to limit the Lions running game, and that Dan Campbell made a lot of questionable decisions in the second half. This man bypassed 2 field goals so he could go for it twice, and he failed on 4th down on 2 different occasions. You also have to remember that the Lions, they decided to run the ball at the 1-yard line on 3rd and goal. Late in that game, they had to end up burning a timeout that ends up costing the Lions 40 seconds. Who knows, if they don't run the ball in that situation, they might score a touchdown. They might get the onside kick. In terms of the fact how the 49ers will cover, they might run it 3 straight times, and maybe the Lions get the ball back with about 30-ish seconds left. My point being is that the Lions beat themselves with mistakes. But as far as what Brock Purdy did, I thought he did an excellent job staying calm, poised, and collected. I thought he did a good job taking it one play at a time, and that he did what he was supposed to do in the second half. He was finding open receivers. He was checking the right runs. He was checking the right passes. He was throwing the open guys. He didn't try anything stupid for the most part. Although he did get lucky on that one deep ball that he attempted to Brandon Aiyuk. That should have been intercepted if the Lions defender even knew how to hold onto the football. Instead, it bounces off his helmet and Brandon Aiyuk makes an amazing catch. So obviously, the Detroit Lions self-destructed themselves from going to their first ever Super Bowl in franchise history. And you could see that playoff experience matters in this type of stage and game because the 49ers were clearly more experienced than the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions did not have the killer instinct in the second half. I thought the Detroit Lions made a lot of mistakes in the second half, and I don't think this loss was necessarily on Jared Goff, but I need Jared Goff to be more of a difference maker in that type of situation. Now, before the game started, I said that the 49ers would win this game comfortably. Well, I was mistaken because this one was a dogfight for the ages, but I will say that if we were just judging off the second half, I was thinking, okay, that's how the game was supposed to go because I thought the 49ers were going to win by 3 scores. You look at the talent disparity between the Lions and the 49ers, it's not really close. The 49ers have way more talent than the Detroit Lions. Obviously, you look at the talent that the 49ers have. They have Christian McCaffrey. They have Deebo Samuel. They have Brandon Aiyuk. They have George Kittle. They have Kyle Shanahan. Then on defense, they got Eric Armstead. They've got Nick Bosa. They've got Fred Warner. They've got Drake Greenlaw. They've got Chase Young. They've got a lot of weapons on the defensive end of the field. So obviously, I'm looking at all that talent for the 49ers. I'm thinking, of course, they're going to win that game comfortably. But it seemed like the entire team did not show up in the first half. It's like they fell asleep at the wheel. But ultimately, they came on in the second half, and that's what matters, being able to be clutch in the biggest moments of the season. And obviously, Brock Purdy did a tremendous job filling in for that role because I thought Brock Purdy did a good job finding his guys open and that he stayed calm, poised, and collected. I'm sure Joe Montana has got to be proud of Brock Purdy big time because what is Joe Montana known for? He's known for being the greatest quarterback in 49ers history, and he did that because he was often calm, poised, and collected under high-level pressure, and Brock Purdy did exactly that. I know Brock Purdy only threw for 267 yards, but damn it, he showed great leadership in the second half of that game. He made the plays that were needed for the 49ers to win. Of course, Christian McCaffrey came up big for the 49ers as well. Even though the Lions do a great job stopping the run, it didn't matter for Christian McCaffrey because even though he only got 90 yards rushing, he did end up scoring 2 rushing touchdowns. Anytime your superstar running back scores 2 rushing touchdowns, that means he had a good day at the office. That was obviously what Christian McCaffrey did. I also like the fact how the 49ers ran for 3 total touchdowns. They had 155 yards off 33 carries as a team, so obviously they're averaging almost 5 yards a carry. They did a great job staying committed to the running game even when the running game wasn't working. They didn't abandon the run. They didn't get discouraged when they were down 17 points. And again, they followed their lead of the quarterback, who was calm, poised, and collected, and that's exactly what Brock Purdy was. Meanwhile, Dan Campbell on the other sidelines was panicking. He was not necessarily being the same guy under pressure. You could tell that he was making a lot of stupid decisions under pressure. And I'm not trying to discredit Dan Campbell because he had a phenomenal year for the Detroit Lions. Hell, that's why they're in the NFC Championship game to begin with. If it were not for Dan Campbell, the Lions wouldn't even be in this position in the first place. But hey, there's the old saying of you live and die by 4th down. And ultimately, that's what the Detroit Lions did. I thought the Detroit Lions made a lot of questionable decisions in the second half. You're up 14 on that first failed 4th down. Go ahead and kick the field goal. It's a 40-something yard field goal. You've got to kick it. Go up by 17 in the third quarter. Instead, you fail on 4th down. Now the momentum shifts over to San Francisco, and then before you know it, it's a 7-point ball game. Of course, the Lions end up fumbling the football on the next possession. Matter of fact, it was the first play of the next possession. Jahmyr Gibbs didn't know how to get the handoff correctly, so he ends up fumbling the ball. The 49ers end up recovering it. Then before you know it, the game is tied up at 24. Of course, the other failed 4th down that the Lions had was when the game was 27-24 49ers. The Lions were in field goal range. They could have kicked something like a 48-yard field goal, make the game tied up at 27. But obviously, Dan Campbell rules apply here, and he chose to go for it on 4th and 3. And what happened? They failed on 4th down. And in the game where they ended up losing by 3 points, they sure could have used those 6 points that they bypassed on, because if they had just taken the points, they would have won this game 37-34. But they didn't do that, and now we remember Brock Purdy as a legend for being able to overcome a 17-point deficit in the NFC Championship game, as that is the largest comeback deficit ever overcome in NFC Championship game history. Obviously, you got to give Brock Purdy a lot of credit. You got to give guys like Deebo Samuel a lot of credit for playing through so much pain. Remember, Deebo Samuel was a game-time decision. He had a shoulder injury that he's dealing with, but it didn't matter for Deebo Samuel because he got 8 catches, 89 receiving yards, and more importantly, he opened up everything else for his teammates. I thought Brandon Aiyuk did a great job making the plays that were needed to win. Christian McCaffrey did a good job catching the checkdowns that he was supposed to get. And then, of course, Brock Purdy contributed heavily in the running game. Who would have thought that Brock Purdy had 48 rushing yards by the end of this game? Well, that's exactly what happened, because Brock Purdy was able to put pressure on the Lions defense. As far as whether Brock Purdy did enough to shut up his haters, that should be the case. I don't think that's going to be the case, but in my mind, he absolutely did enough to shut up his haters. I've been giving Brock Purdy a lot of praise throughout this year. I believe Brock Purdy has gotten too much criticism. Now he gets to go up in the Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs, and it's going to be interesting to see how Brock Purdy will fare against an all-time great quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, because we all know that Patrick Mahomes is a special football player and that he can elevate his team at any given time, and that Brock Purdy is going to have to play a tremendous game in the Super Bowl in order to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, because if he doesn't play a tremendous game, they're probably going to lose the game against the Kansas City Chiefs. But we'll see what happens. We've got 2 weeks to see how the game is going to play out. I like that Brock Purdy got to own his haters with an epic comeback for the 49ers. It's a feel-good victory for Brock Purdy. It feels like it's validation day for Brock Purdy, because now he gets to validate himself as one of the better quarterbacks in the National Football League. I hope his haters aren't going to focus on the interception that he threw, because even though that was a bad-looking interception, he did overcome that with a strong second half. So you have to give Brock Purdy a lot of credit for that. So that's why Brock Purdy did more than enough to shut up his haters, as he played tremendously for the 49ers during their comeback run in the NFC Championship game. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That'll be for the @Dustin-Tran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @Dustin-Tran, and that's Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @Dustin-Tran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel, Sports Guy Talking.